Hello everybody, it is the me, GamePenguin21, and today, yep, it's one of those Saturday videos that I just kind of have to get out there because, quite honestly, there's a lot to cover the last couple of weeks, and this is my, again, probably another series that I'm going to be doing where it's a bunch of smaller stories that I usually tend to just cover because overall there isn't enough to cover them for a mainstay story, but there is enough to cover for one quick video for all of them together. Now, there will be longer form videos on at least one of these topics that I have currently on these tweets that I'm going through, but right now, let's go through some of these and let's actually talk and give some opinions on stuff. But before we get into that, I did decide to open up a couple of new avenues for you to support me. I put down a coffee in the description, or a Ko-Fi or whatever. So that's the way you can support me now, because quite honestly, I'm kind of getting a little desperate here, but not desperate enough that I won't resort to other things quite yet. But to be honest, I just made it because other people were making it, and just it makes it easier for people to try to see if they can connect with me. Overall, it's not necessary, and it's mainly just for donations and stuff right now. I might end up deciding to make commissions through that in one way or another, or might make it so that way a person can buy some of the prints of my art or something like that. I don't know. I'll just figure it out as we go along. For right now, just know that I have other ways to support me in any way other than your viewership and to like and subscribe in the video, which is always very much appreciated. Let's get into this. Starting, of course, off with Firewalk here. Now, I'm going to be elaborating more on this topic in a bit on Concord in its own dedicated video, or semi-dedicated video, where I go over that as well as nade shot. So that might be into next week's Thursday video, because quite honestly, that video needs a little bit of time in the oven. But again, they have a galaxy 6 years in the making and stuff to explore, and this is about Concord and stuff like that. And it's like, oh yay, we've spent like a long time on this, and then I basically had a friend who just decided to make an entire Dear Concord community. And of course, this is ChatGPT, because it's really just the meme of, oh no, we're gonna have to shut down this stuff. It's like, I'm just gonna make this ahead of time, just no need to thank me, which, to be honest, this is just really funny and clearly a meme, so good on him. But of course, we also then have Boom here, who basically takes the PC Gamer article. I did go over this a bit with Moment of Sanity at the time, and again, this is going to get its own dedicated video, mostly to where I'm going to be talking about this. But quite honestly, this just is really interesting of an article to go through, and I'm, again, not going to go through this, but basically, he's just saying that the so-called journalists are make living poop on Xbox and stuff, and yeah, and that will be edited in as well, because there's one more thing where they can publicly say, hey, don't shame Concord, but they will literally make 5 to 6 different articles on, say, Starfield. So, oops. Next up here we have Crafty Masterson, which this one is a more interesting thing, where someone on the comments and talks about why are Redstoners mad, and I don't really know the context of this video, and I just believe that the video itself is about talking about that, and Mojang bad because woke. So ideally what we're reading here, and this is a long paragraph, so I'll just read this really quickly. I don't know the demographic of Redstoners, so why are you commenting on this? But if you're like most gamers, that the complex, non-casual tard gameplay features and mechanics similar to Redstone, you might be a white guy. What the hell am I looking at? The postmodern liberal devs like the ones that work at Mojang love effing up shit that white guys like on purpose. I'd expect Redstone to get worse with every other update. Pirate old versions of Minecraft and don't give them another dime. Okay, either this is the most elaborate troll in the world, or I just had some sort of a stroke, because, quite honestly, I'm 90% certain that this person's probably joking. If they are not joking, yikes. But of course, we have several different ones from Nicola, which I'll just sprinkle throughout this whole video because I don't want to go through and organize stuff again. Nicola basically talks about how Jason Schwimmer basically says the difference between the difference is that your $500 console now plays fewer games than the other $500 console since PlayStation isn't returning the favor. To which Nicola says PlayStation was already getting more games than Xbox prior to their third-party Switch. Now Xbox is complete redundancy, I guess. I mean, I guess if like the biggest thing here is that Jason's basically pointing out that the console now has fewer games than the other console, and PlayStation isn't returning the favor. So there's like no, it's just like I don't know what the context of this is. It just makes like what is the context here? That the difference is that you get fewer games on the newer consoles, because if that's the point, yeah, you kind of do, because again, I'm just going to tap the sign that Lisa kind of presented here, where there's really no next-gen games that could have been, like, pushed out, like, a lot later or on previous hardware in some context. It's just really weird. Now, this one is interesting, and I just wanted to use this as just a talking point to say, even as someone as small as me, I've still gotten DMs like this of like, hey, I'm a graphics design artist and stuff. And yes, I know that in some context and in some places of the world, absolutely, that's going to work in some places. But in the places where it does work versus the places where it doesn't work, it's just kind of weird. Now, again, most people within the graphic design or like within the space of VTubing as well as content creation in general always get this, hey, I'm a graphic designer, I can make your stuff for you, when they themselves have to learn at least 5 to 6 different other tools and equipment and things like that. And I've gotten this where people will be like, oh, hey, I would like to get you some art. And I'm like, I've had people ripped off by that exact marketing ploy. And it sucks because I understand that now that actually can work, but it doesn't work on the micro scale and you won't get everyone. So, yes, I understand that it works. But on the other hand, for the people that you are trying to quote unquote target that say graphic design in there, don't do that. That's like, it's just annoying. And again, it's like, it's a thing in marketing, at least, called copywriting, where you just like kind of go out to do it. And it's especially in social media marketing. So yeah. But anyway, just wanted to get a little rant about that out of the way. My good old friend Sanity here decided to retweet Black Myth Wukong, where someone basically said, it's finally an adult Dark Souls we've been waiting for all these years. Yes, because Dark Souls itself, an M-rated game with monsters that are literally made up of severed human body parts and blood monsters that will literally end your existence by eating you alive, is not already adult Dark Souls. Yeah, basically, just I don't even need to make any more jokes other than just say, tell me you've never played Dark Souls without telling me you've never played Dark Souls. Sanity basically puts it the best there. Now, of course, this is another smaller news channel that got kind of swept under the rug, because we've most definitely heard about a lot of these different ones here. And this is from Gabe Follower, and I'm just going to say this right now. I don't think that this is true. I'm going to say no until more substantial evidence is actually performed here, where the person basically says, hey, Half-Life 3 is real and it has been confirmed. I know that we've been saying this for over a decade and a half now, ever since this came out in 2009 or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to just push X to doubt on that, but I'm going to at least include it in here because it's a really funny tweet and it's very strange. So, I don't think so, but whatever. Now, Oh No, It's Alex actually did happen to have some sort of very strange and weird kind of brain fart, I guess, where he's had a few of those, kind of his MO, where he basically is responding to the Black Viking, who basically is calling the platform of Steam and bringing it to everyone else's platform, where he then says that Steam is not a platform, where I did actually go into the replies of this as well as a few others where it did say that Steam is advertised as the gaming platform for PC in terms of at least, Google searches. So I guess that makes sense. But I would say that Steam is both a platform and a storefront, but Steam is not a platform of it. It's more of like a store that exists on the platform of PC, I guess. They just have platform in the name because it just makes it better for SEO. So unsure, but Steam itself is more of a storefront, and most people would classify it as a storefront. You're getting down to semantics at that point, so I'm not sure who to believe in this context. I took this image because I thought that it was really funny that, I was going to make fun of him for saying, oh, it's Steam's a platform. It's like, oh, whatever. But there's enough evidence to go either way, though I would personally lean more towards it being a storefront, where I buy my games because they don't run everything here. And back over here to Nicola saying, I cannot believe my eyes, where he has a bunch of games here, 2 of which are going to PC right now. I'll let you guess. On his PlayStation Portable, even though, again, God of War, Ragnarok, as well as I hope Final Fantasy does end up getting like a port to the not the Switch, the Steam Deck, which I think would be really cool. But I think that that's also The Last of Us Part 2 and Gran Turismo, all of which on the PlayStation Portal. Again, it's one of those things where I haven't seen a lot of PlayStation Portal usage or people using it. I mean, I think I saw like one TikTok or one YouTube short about it, and this is the only other thing that I've seen. This thing seems to have gone very quiet with that. But of course, another thing that has been made fun of a lot, other than just the big old Concord fiasco, which will again get its own dedicated video, but Lavender tweets out, says, impossible to parody. And basically, this is the perfect screenshot here, where this is from the game Dustborn, a game, mind you, that did not even crack 100 players, let alone crack into any top lists on anything. This game literally uses the power of words, of which you can literally just like fight people with it. Again, we've talked about this numerous amounts of times, but this is one of those things where this was back when it was kind of launched, as you can kind of tell by the date. I'm a little bit late to the party on this, but Jesus Christicles, that is such a funny thing to talk about. Next up here, we have Nicola, again, with the richest shit I've ever seen in my life. Now, this requires a little bit of an explanation. Now, this was a bigger-ish story about a man named Dreamcast Guy, who I think we've at least talked about. If not, basically, he is a Sony fanboy, Sony pony, whatever you want to call him, who basically does nothing more than to shit on Xbox, and has been told, and has been acquired and talked about on record, saying that he will just literally grift for no reason because he wants to get those outrage dollars to, quote, pay his bills. Quite honestly, it's a little bit sad, and while yes, there is things that I would definitely do for money, especially if I got things like a sponsorship or whatever, 110% I understand it, but that doesn't mean that I respect it, because at the very least, I would want to keep some integrity of my character and some integrity within the YouTube channel, and I think that you should do that as well. And basically, this person's calling him out, calling him one of the most disingenuous creators in the gaming space, admitting to everything that I just basically talked about. But next up, we have a really funny back and forth between Wolf Tech, which is, I believe, either the Avowed or whatever, but basically Avowed is releasing February 18th, 2025, and it supposedly is going to be better on the Series X than on a PC, and then that you should expect ray tracing targeted at 30 FPS when it launches on February 18th. To which Gara, basically, I don't even need to make a joke here, because Gara already did it, saying, just like Redfall, just like Starfield, yeah, I'm not believing anything modern mouth Xbox Studios have to say these days with an, are you sure about that? Like, are you sure it's going to be targeting the best stuff? Are you sure about that? But of course, I also wanted to just kind of end this off with a little bit of the segment of what I brought into the beginning, where the second game on the list of things that he was like talking about is that Final Fantasy XVI producer, director Nico Yodiashki, I think that's how you pronounce it. Square Enix is looking to double down on Xbox releases after its focus on PlayStation exclusivity led to a financial dip. This is from IGN, and I'm just pulling a bunch of responses for that because this was a huge thing that, again, got buried underneath it. So, again, it doesn't deserve its own, like, dedicated video, at least not to me, because I'm covering this rather late in the time. But I do believe that I should at least talk about it. So with that being said, there's also a couple other places that I took this from, VGN, just to kind of secure that it's there, as well as The Gamer also reports on this as well from Pirate Nation here. He also links the article. Quite interesting. And they also say that they are going to make the new Final Fantasy games likely to launch on PC day one, which is a lot of Final Fantasy news from that. But this is under that first tweet that I basically was talking about, saying, yeah, Xbox renters will save them. Lol. They're talking about PC. So, I mean, yeah, if they bring it to Xbox, that's even more money, but I don't get why or how that will... You're confused. Next up here we have Nixie Nin with would love nothing more than to see my favorite gaming franchise grow as much as possible. While I don't believe being on Xbox will move the needle, I look forward to seeing how much more these games can sell on there. Now, this is only half salty, and I do think that he has a more nuanced take, and this is not pure salt, absolutely, but you can kind of hear it through, like, gritted teeth, if that makes sense, where it's like, I would love nothing more than to see my favorite game franchise grow as much as possible. Well, I don't believe Xbox will move the needle. I look forward to it. It's like, you can kind of hear it in the typing, which is interesting. But next up here, we have Justin saying, real shame, because Final Fantasy XVI was my favorite of the modern Final Fantasy games. They're not getting rid of it. Like, that's the thing. They're not, you're still going to have access to it. You're still going to and play the game. So what? It's a real shame that they have to, you know, go and go to other platforms to get more money or whatever. Like, how is that a bad thing? Like more games on more platforms is never a bad thing. I'm very confused about this. So RPG also comes in here saying, community notes incoming, clickbait article. Nowhere has this been said by Square. Despite the fact that they actually did have that said by Square, where they were actually in talks with that. It's literally in the article. And that's really all that I have left to say on that. For the time being, and for right now, I think that that's all that I have to really say on any of these topics. Overall, everything that we're talking about right now, I was so close to finishing out this video without getting interrupted, but in any case, my name is GamePenguin21. If you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any way, shape, or form, links down to everything in the description below. Please feel free to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. I definitely got interrupted upon everything because someone just called me as I was about to end this video. Oops. But whatever. Love you all. Support me on whatever. And your viewership is always enough. Thank you so much for watching again, and a peace. Oh.